This is the brand new Rev 1 controller by Pioneer DJ, and today I'm going to tell you all about this and its amazing new features. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Holland and this is the brand new DDJ Rev 1 by Pioneer DJ. Now this is a €280 entry-level beginner controller for Serato DJ Lite, and you can see just at the first glance that this is unlike anything Pioneer DJ have brought us before. This is designed to, evoke those battle DJ setups. It's meant to imitate the layout and get young DJs prepared for life on a pair of turntables and a battle mixer. So what does it do to actually achieve that goal? Well, apart from this entirely new layout with its horizontal pitch faders and centralized mixer section, we have brand new pad features in here. We have a brand new feature called tracking, which will help DJs with their crossfader cuts. We've got trans in there. We've got scratch bank for the first ever time in Serato DJ Lite. And of course, we've got these brand new paddle effects. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at this brand new controller and find out what it's all about. So here we have it. This is the brand new DDJ Rev 1 by Pioneer DJ. And you can see at first glance, this is a much wider but slightly shallower controller than what's come before it. Now this is technically the spiritual successor to the extremely popular DDJ SB range of controllers by Pioneer DJ. Those controllers started to hint towards scratching. We had Jazzy Jeff's pad scratch mode in that controller, but this takes it one step further by completely mimicking the layout and feel of a battle DJ setup. Now, if you're not aware what a battle DJ setup is, it usually consists of a 2-channel mixer in the middle of 2 turntables. Now, this mixer has all the performance features such as the pads on it, so that's why the pads are in the middle here. And then the turntables on the outside are vertically positioned. This means that the needle doesn't interfere with the scratching of the DJ, and because they're laid out vertically, it means that their pitch fader ends up being horizontal and at the top of the deck. So as you can see here, Pioneer DJ have completely mimicked that into this controller. So it is a little bit wider, is a little bit shallower, but you end up actually having larger jog wheels. So these are 4.5-inch jog wheels on this controller. We end up with the horizontal pitch faders, as you can see up top. Again, out of the way, you're not going to knock them when you're scratching, anything like that. And also by moving the pads into the middle, you end up with this nice area here in the middle of the mixer, down at the bottom, where we've got lots of room for our hands. So again, it really hands-on is this controller. It gives you a lot of room, means you can get fast with your scratching and your cutting. You're not going to accidentally knock anything. So what have we got when it comes to the deck sections here? Well, as I've just mentioned, we've got 4.5-inch jog wheels here. These are really, really impressive, if I'm being honest. They are capacitive units, which means they stop when you touch the top of them. And the way these feel is really, really nice. They've got a really good tension to them for when you're scratching and moving them. However, when you want to spin back, you can do that as well. There's plenty of feel there. They feel absolutely brilliant. Now, below the jog wheel, there's nothing really. Usually we have performance pads down here. We have the cue and play button. The cue and play button, the play button itself is a small round number traditionally found on a Pioneer DJ unit. However, the cue button that's usually found just above it is now a rectangle and in the lower left corner. Now, this is a bit of a departure from what you usually find on a DJ controller. However, I think what Pioneer DJ are trying to do here is to stop DJs using the cue button as often and try and get used to using the hot cues in the middle instead. And this is because on a turntable, there is no cue button. Up the top of each deck section, we now have these horizontal pitch faders. They're not the largest units in the world, and I've got to admit, the problem with putting pitch faders horizontal is that you, by grabbing them, have this wobble up and down that you can see happening here. This does make it feel a little bit cheap. Now, just like on the Rev 7, when you move up to higher and more expensive equipment, such as turntables and that Rev 7 controller that's also been released alongside this, those have more expensive pitch faders, so you don't have that kind of nasty feel to them. These are the same pitch faders that are found in all the other entry-level Pioneer controllers, but usually when they're vertical, because you're just moving them up and down, you don't feel the side-to-side wobble. Because these are flipped, you do get that wobble, and it's not the nicest feeling thing in the world. Underneath the pitch fader, we have our looping controls. So we've got the typical auto loop button on the left-hand side, and then to the side of that, we've got the half, and then we've got the double to the right. To the right-hand side, we have the sync button, and underneath them, we have the shift functionalities for those buttons. So if you press the shift button in the middle, you can turn your sync off, or you can access manual loop controls with the auto loop buttons. The top left-hand corner here, we have our headphone control. Headphone port is found on the front. It's an 1/8" jack, which is the smaller one. Again, I would really like to start seeing bigger headphone jacks being fitted to beginner DJ equipment. I just don't believe everyone uses low quality headphones. Some DJs out there will buy better headphones even though they've got an entry-level controller. To the left-hand side here, underneath the headphone control button, we do have the button to access Deck 3. And on the right hand side, we have the mirroring corresponding button for Deck 4. This is a 2-channel controller, but just like the SP3 that came before it, you can actually access all 4 decks. So how this works is you can have your Deck 1 and Deck 2 here, but when you press Deck 3 and Deck 4, you can load tracks into those decks, and you can actually mix those on top. Now, the controller does get a little bit confusing here, so if I get the track playing on Deck 1, when you access Deck 3, the software will flip over to Deck 3, as you can see. We can load in another track. But then the pitch fader, as you can see now, the volume is going to stay the same for Deck 1. If I want to affect the volume of Deck 1 again, I've got to come out of here, put it back up to full, go back to Deck 3, and now I've got a brand new setup. So there is 4 decks inside this controller. They're not the easiest things to get your head around, and it can get a bit confusing, but having 4 decks in there is a nice addition. Moving on to the mixer section in the middle. This is where this controller really stands out from the crowd. At the bottom here, we've got 2 up faders and a nice crossfader. The crossfader feels a little plasticky, feels a little cheap, but actually has a decent cutting distance, and you can adjust how it controls and how it behaves inside the preferences in Serato DJ Lite. Up top, we've got a full 3-band EQ, and the layout of this is quite clever. Now, if you have ever seen a DJM S9 or S7 mixer, these are the battle mixers from Pioneer DJ, these actually have the same layout and feel as this controller does here. So we have our full 3-band EQ in the middle here, so we have the lows, the mids, and the highs. But then to the left of that, we also have a low pass, high pass filter. And above that, we have the trim. So this is the exact same layout as what we have on an S7 or an S9 mixer, and if you were to progress from this controller, unless you were going into the Rev 7 controller, you would most likely be buying one of those mixers. So it's nice that they've laid these out in the same way. The only thing I would say about this EQ layout here is I wish that they'd used a different color knob for the filter control. Usually on a DJM mixer, this would be silver compared to the black EQ knobs. And the trim control up here would also be a narrower, light grey trim control. It's only a small thing, but it does help avoid the confusion and just this whole sea of black knobs here. You can just see easily what each one does when they're a different color. In the middle of the mixer, we have brand new paddle effects. Now, Pioneer DJ have been using paddle effects on their battle mixers, but not on their DJ controllers. Now we finally have access to these. So the way paddle effects work is you can pull the lever towards you for a momentary effect, or if you want that effect to stay on, you just simply push the lever the other way and it locks on. In the center, we have a depth knob. This allows you to control the wet-dry value of the effect. And then underneath all of this, on the left-hand side and on the right, we have access to turn on or off the 3 different effects in Serato DJ Lite. Now, if you want to activate more than one effect at once, I'll just open the panel here so you can see, you can actually double press these. So if I want 1 and 3 at the same time, press them at the same time and it will access them. Otherwise, usually you just apply one effect at once and it will switch between them. So you can also change your effect as well on here by pressing Shift, and then you can change the effect that's applied on the first bank. And then to change the beat division of that effect bank, you press Shift and you can have it with the 2 and double it with the 1. All these effects work post fader, so if you get the track playing, when you pull the fader down, the effect will echo out as well. So those are the new paddle effects on the Rev 1. They are great, they're really, really cool, they work really well, and it's nice to see paddle effects being used on a Scratch controller. The SB3 before it didn't have this, it was still more of a club style layout, so to go the full hog, again, it just feels like Pioneer DJ are throwing everything at this controller design wise to get you prepared for life on a Battle DJ setup. Below that we have the brand new performance pads. Now these performance pads are really, really cool, but there have been some compromises made. Moving them from the bottom of the deck, where they would usually be found down here, up into the middle, does mean they've had to get quite a lot smaller. Now Pioneer DJ have kept independent pad modes, so I can have this deck in auto loop or sampler whilst using hotkeys over here, which is nice. However, look at the size of the pads themselves. They are very, very small. Probably the smallest you'll find on a controller of this price range. Now that means you can only use really one finger on a pad at once. You're going to struggle really to finger drum with 2 fingers, and it can mean that you end up pressing the wrong pad at the wrong time. Also, these pads, as you can see here, are just lit up in yellows, no RGB here. Now, that's okay, I suppose, but when you're in a creative routine, and let's face it, this controller is all about creative routines and battle DJing, you're going to want to set up various hotkeys, you're going to want to use various features in the Scratch Bank, for example, and having coloured hotkeys really does help there. So it's a bit of a shame that they haven't included coloured hotkeys here, and they are just all one colour, but it's one of those things. Also, it's worth noting that in Serato DJ Lite, the bottom 4 pads don't actually operate in the pad mode that you're selecting unless you're in trans or tracking. So if you're in hotkey, you are limited to just 4 hotkeys. You can't access the bottom 4, unfortunately. That is a paid upgrade to Serato DJ Pro users only. Once a track's playing, you can use the bottom 4 pads to actually control some of the playback features. So if I get the track playing, I can just show you them. So we have a rewind, a fast forward, a back to the beginning of the track button, and also a sensor button. So the bottom 4 pads do have some purpose, but they're not in the pad mode that you would expect them to be. So let's talk about those pad modes, because there is some new features in there. Of course, we've got hotkeys. These allow you to jump around the track, placing little markers in the track. Again, these performance pads, they're small, but they're also clicky. They're actually buttons underneath there, so they're not technically pads, they are actually buttons. But as you can hear, there's a nice positive click at the bottom of those, so you know when you've pressed them. Next up, we've got auto loop. The first auto loop's 8 beats, 4, 2, and 1. Next up, we have tracking. Now, tracking is a brand new feature, and it helps with your scratching. Now, the SB3 before the Rev 1 had a feature called Pad Scratch, and when you pressed a pad, it would move the track and also activate the crossfader automatically to replicate some quite common scratching patterns. Now, this didn't always sound great depending on the track you used it on, and also it automated the full feature set of scratching. You know, it did the jog wheel, it did the crossfader, the DJ did nothing but press a button. Tracking is different to that. Tracking will only automate the cuts of the crossfader. So you still have to use your hands to move the jog wheel in a time and a fashion. So it's not doing everything for you, it's only doing half the work. But there are some really cool scratch patterns in the tracking effect. In there, we've got chirps, we've got orbits, we've got crabs, we've got baby scratch combos, we've got stabs. So I'm just going to quickly give you an example of what these sound like. And, you know, I'm not a great scratch DJ by any means, but you can get some kind of cool sounding effects by using this pattern. Now, it's worth noting that the playhead will remain pretty much in the center of your first cue point when you're using this feature, so it's, you know, you're not going to get lost. And if you let the scratch go and then you jump on it again and start scratching, it will jump you back to that cue point. So it's a really intuitive feature to use, and when used right, you can get some cool sounding effects. I would recommend, if you are going to use this, you need to practice on the speed of your actions on the jog wheel, because certain patterns, such as the crab scratch, for example, sounds a lot better when you're moving the jog wheel very slowly rather than when you're moving it quickly. But I'll just give you a quick idea of what that sounds like now. So there you have some idea of what those patterns sound like. Like I say, you do have to work on your hand action and the speed that you're using your sample at to really get that sounding the best it can do, and also the timing of your release of the effect as well. But it is a nice addition, and it's great to see that being put in there. I wasn't a massive fan of pad scratch, but I can actually see this being used much more regularly and sounding a lot better, whilst also teaching the DJ something about the actual scratch patterns and the movements they need to make. Next up, we have the sampler. Now, this is built into Serato DJ Lite. We've got 4 samples just built in there, and you can press those and trigger those when you want. Now, underneath those pad modes, if you press shift, if you try and access underneath hotkey, it's beat jump. Again, unfortunately, you cannot access that in Serato DJ Lite. You need to pay for Serato DJ Pro. Same goes for roll, which is underneath auto loop. But if you press shift and press tracking, you enter trans mode. Now, trans mode is the trans effect. This basically cuts the music in and out very quickly on beat. This is not like the tracking effect, because it's not doing like a crab pattern. It's not going to do a scratching pattern where, you know, it's an intricate movement on the crossfader. This is just literally stabbing in and out. So again, to give you an idea what that sounds like. And then finally, we move on to one of the biggest standout features of this controller, and that is the pad mode underneath sampler, and this is Scratch Bank. Now, this is the first time we've ever seen Scratch Bank in Serato DJ Lite. Scratch Bank is a feature normally found in Serato DJ Pro, and even in that version of the software, you have to have expensive Battle DJ equipment, such as the Battle mixers and the top-end controllers, plugged in to access this feature. So what is Scratch Bank? Well, Scratch Bank is a bit like a sampler, but when you press on the Scratch Bank, it loads that sample into the deck for you to then scratch with, and it does it instantly. So if I get this track playing, I'll show you what happens with Scratch Bank. You can access the feature here on the software itself, and Serato have been kind enough to load up the 4 Scratch Banks with their own scratch samples. Now, you can go ahead and change these out. So let's quickly have a look at what the feature does. So let's access Scratch Bank here.
Hey, you!
Yeah!
Hey, hey,
Yeah, yeah!
hey!
So you can see there instantly, as soon as I press that, it loads it in and plays it on the right hand deck, regardless of what's going on. And I can change these out. So if I don't like one of these, I can just grab hold of one of these here and load it in just like that. So it's a really, really cool function, and in the hands of a creative DJ, you can use different tracks and different parts of your track to instantly jump into your routine, and you can use that in your creative process. Now, unlike in Serato DJ Pro, there's no way of changing which part of the song is activated when you press that. It will just go to the beginning of the track and play it straight from the beginning. In Serato DJ Pro, if you choose to upgrade to that, you can choose what hot cue you want it to start from, what loop you want it to jump into, and you can also turn off and on the pitch lock as well. Whereas on this, the pitch lock is always defaulted to how your deck was set up. So just be aware of that. The feature is there. It's nice to get started with and to have a quick go with. But if you want to take it to the next level, it really is best in Serato DJ Pro. And there we have it. That is the brand new Rev 1 by Pioneer DJ. Now, I am a massive fan of this controller. I've got to be said. I think the new layout, I think the tracking feature, I love the fact the scratch bank for Serato DJ Lite. I just think the whole package is really, really well thought out. However, that said, this won't be for everyone, unless you're a DJ that really wants to get into scratching and into routines and things like that, then this really isn't going to appeal to you. And I feel that Pioneer DJ aren't taking a risk here, but Serato slightly are. Now, Pioneer DJ, if you want to be a club DJ and you want a regular CDJ style layout and a club feel, Pioneer DJ offer the DDJ 400, which is fantastic, and that comes with Record Box. But if you're a DJ that wants a club style layout and you want to use Serato, then unfortunately Pioneer DJ no longer offer a controller that's like that. You're going to have to look elsewhere, and for that I would probably look at the Hercules Impulse 500. But if you are looking at getting into scratching, this is just such a complete package. Sure, Newmark before them have done the paddle effects and kind of gone down that route, but this takes it one step further, with the horizontal pitch faders, that new tracking mode, the large jog wheels with nothing around them. There's no cue button or play button that's going to accidentally get knocked. This really is the real deal, and I really, really applaud Pioneer DJ and Serato for making this decision. I think this is a great controller, and I can't wait to see some of the routines and performances and some of the DJs that are going to start with this as their first controller. It's not the cheapest entry-level controller, but you are getting a lot of bang for your buck, especially with that scratch bank feature now being added. But those are our thoughts on the controller. Of course, we want to know yours. Let us know in the comments below, what do you think to this controller? What do you think to this direction Pioneer DJ are going today? Of course, there is the Rev 7, the bigger brother of this controller, and we've got a full review and performance on the channel at the same time as this. Of course, we'd love to hear your views on our Discord as well, which we've recently launched. So please click the invite link below, get involved with the community, and let us know. Are you going to be picking up one of these, or are you going to be avoiding it? And if so, why? As always, thank you so much for taking the time for watching this review. We really do appreciate it. Take care and stay safe wherever you are in the world. I will see you in another video sometime soon.